Hi, this is Erica, and this is a video about what I've learned in the past 50 years that I've been on this planet, and just kind of share my kind of knowledge and wisdom now that I'm 50. Um, I would say that the biggest mistakes I made in my life was adhering to people's expectations of me and not going with what my heart told me to do. And if I had to do it over, I would have started younger, where I would have pursued things that really spoke to my heart rather than what looked good on paper for other people and made them happy. I wouldn't have gotten jobs that just looked good on paper but made me miserable. So that is one thing that I would have done differently. Another thing I would have done differently is I would have started investing my money a lot sooner. So they talk about compound interest, and basically, if you start in your 20s, you have a really good chance of being a millionaire by the time you're ready to retire. And that was something that I did not do. And that's a big regret, is not starting sooner. So get definitely, if you are in your 20s, start really thinking long term, start thinking ahead, and start investing your money. You have time on your side. So that is another thing that I would give people advice to. Also is really take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. The times that I fell most apart were the times when I was not taking care of myself physically. I was running myself ragged. I was letting things, just basically overwhelm me without ever pausing to reflect on what this was doing to me and the effect it was having on me. I would have taken my mental health a lot more seriously. Another thing that I would have done differently is I would have not been afraid to get into relationships. I was very afraid. My parents had an awful marriage, and I was very afraid of recreating that with someone else. But I pushed people away. I basically, kind of stayed away from relationships. I called myself an independent woman. But the connections that we make in life are so critical, and I would have been very discerning about who I got involved with, but I would have been more open to the people that were there, and basically, let myself be vulnerable a little bit and exposed. I would have read more. That is something that I regret. I kind of got into the big social media game when it was first launched. I mean, I'm older, but when I was in my early 30s, I got on MySpace and things like that, and it just getting entrenched in what you think other people have, what they're doing, how you're behind, all those things. We're seeing people's highlight reel when we're looking at their social media accounts. We're not seeing the real life, the ins and outs. And I know from talking to people offline that their lives are not nearly as perfect as they are portraying it online. So don't make the mistake of going online and comparing yourself to someone else and thinking that you're behind, or they've got this fabulous life where they're going on trips and things like that. You don't know the backstory. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I would have been more careful with money. I definitely sometimes would overspend, live beyond my means, things like that. And that's definitely something that is a regret. I think that, we are, kind of in this social media world, we're getting hit constantly now with, buy more, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, this, that. I would have said, things don't matter. It's really the experiences of life and the people that matter. So I wouldn't have jumped on that wagon of, just over consumerism and things like that. I never got really bad. I didn't need designer clothes or anything like that, or the latest fanciest car. But I did get sucked into like that fear of missing out and wanting to get something because someone said it was so great. And it just, it's, you don't need to do it. Save your money, be wise with your money, be prudent, think ahead so that when it comes time for you to settle down and for you to retire, you're in a much better position if you're frugal with your money. Throughout your life. And I don't mean cheap. It doesn't mean you never treat yourself, but just be careful with your money. And I would have walked away from toxic relationships a lot sooner. I stayed in a toxic relationship with my mother for probably 20 years longer than I should have. And I would have left that sooner, even though I felt this obligation, as we were sort of legally entangled as mother and daughter. But we were not compatible as mother and daughter in any way. And it was just something that became very toxic. And our relationship has ended now, but it would have ended a lot sooner. And that goes for any toxic relationship you have in your life. If it's a friend who only calls you when they need something, or if it's a partner who belittles you, or anything like that, just walk away. You know, these are the lessons that I've learned. And I would have appreciated myself more. I would have respected my space and my need for boundaries and valued myself more and carried myself with more confidence. That's something that I wish I had done sooner. And so now that I'm 50, these are the lessons that I have learned, and I hope that this helps someone. Have a great day. Bye.